What drives me crazy is you're in a messaging war. We have the data from polling, Rebecca, that says African Americans are getting misinformation from two major sources, Instagram and TikTok, which means what you have to do to counter misinformation is to provide clean information that's factual. And what you can't do is you can't hope local media shows up and national media shows up. You've got to have a strategy that gets that information to them. And it's just constantly, this is the fourth stop. And I'm now saying this for the third time. And the only reason I'm not saying it for the fourth time, because I was on one of the stops and I did what I'm actually talking about.
So Roland, before my current position, I've worked in campaigns for 20 years. And so from a pure campaign perspective, from being a campaign manager, I've been campaign manager in governor's races, congressional races, city council races, did work on super PACs. There are four things that are missing here. It is your advance team, your outreach team, your communications team, and your strategy. So what needed to happen is the advance team hits the ground, meets with local leaders, meets with different community groups, and meets with different businesses that have had positive impacts from the policies that came out of the White House. Those are the first people you were talking about. So then when you now have your comms team there, they are now working the crowds. They're talking to specific people who have testimonials of the positive impact that they received for some of these policies, and then you're actually able to record it and then push it out. The third area that you're missing is an outreach team where they're now working in the community, working with community groups, helping to make sure that folks on the ground, so everyday people, grassroots people understand this is how this specific policy directly impacts my life, and not just the grass top leaders or the grass top business owners. And then finally, you have the strategists. I'm going to reveal a campaign secret here. So what you put on your social media feed or what you put on what a campaign or a candidate puts on their website, that signals to the outside groups, those who do what's called independent expenditures, independent from the campaign, not coordinating directly with the campaign. But the order of what you preface is you're signaling to all these outside groups who are going to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars on this campaign cycle for Trump or for Biden-Harris. You then signal what is important and you want them to start pushing out and talking about. So it is campaign malfeasance not to have these specific economic tours and these clips. Even back to my second point with the comms team, not having there should be a rapid response group that is traveling with Vice President Harris. Well, what a competent campaign does.
And let me be real clear. The comms team, it's only a couple of people when she's on the road. Okay, so here's the piece. So here's again how I look at it. If you know that this is and they're doing the best that they can do, which then means what you have to do is, because I don't believe there's anything wrong if you're the DNC national or you're the state Democratic Party in North Carolina to still be at the event, Robert. And then what you do is you're getting that out. And this is real simple. What I'm talking about, there are young people who literally, and hell, I'm 55 and I do this. There are people who literally kick this stuff out with efficiency, who grab it, who can edit, who can put these things together. But again, you cannot be living in a digital world and you're operating in an analog system. You have to be able to sort of drive your own messaging and use your own tools. On Instagram, on TikTok, her stop, if this was a White House event, there should have been clips on it on her VP page and on the POTUS page, on all of their social media accounts. And I guarantee you would have had more impressions than the 2,600 that watched the feed on whitehouse.gov. Robert, final comment before I go to break.
So I'm going to give a very strange example because the people I know in the campaign have said that because of Vice President Harris's low poll numbers, that they feel like they can't put her out there as much as we think that she should be out there. Numbers came out this week for the female rappers. So the Sexy Red is not the #1 streamed female rapper. She's not the second. She's like fifth or sixth. She has a quarter of the stream to people like Doja Cat and Nicki Minaj. Album sale numbers came out. She sold 28,000 albums in the first week. What does this tell you? Ain't nobody listening to her music. But she has a team behind her that makes sure that everything she does is in the press, that everything that she does, whether people like the music or not, is showing up in your news feed, on your television. There's no reason for me to know who Sexy Red is, but her team makes sure that I can't turn on social media or television or any piece of black media without finding these things out. Hire whoever the hell that is to work for Kamala Harris. Make sure that you are pushing that information out there. That's how you change public opinion around an individual in an event, by making sure that you're putting the right people in the right place to push that messaging outward.
All I'm saying is this is very simple. When you invest with advertising, y'all, this is very simple. When you invest in advertising, then you're able to hire more people to actually cover stuff. Simple as that. But when you don't invest, can't do it. That's how this thing works. And there's a reason why the CNN and the New York Times and these people are the size that they are. And there's a reason why black-owned media does not have scale. And that's why nearly all of these black-owned media outlets aren't doing any real news coverage out here on any of this stuff. They're just repeating what other people say. And what I'm saying is you have to understand how this is done. But I'm telling you, I don't know what when they unveiled the Blacks for Biden Harris, which I thought was a weak rollout. Again, right now, in June, in July, the 3 weeks leading up to the convention, and right after the convention, there should be conversations, town hall type discussions happening in cities, in Milwaukee, in places in Georgia, in North Carolina, in Arizona, in Georgia, and other places as well. And guess what? Utilize technology, have that stuff streamed out, content going out, and take questions. If people are going to sit here and you might not like that question, but still, you can now give the answer. You did that for HBCUs. That's not true. Boom, 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 boom. That's where we have to be at. And so I don't know what the strategists are thinking, but I'm telling you, this is why your black numbers are so low. The data shows you didn't tell a good story in 2021, 22, 23. So now in 24, folk don't actually know what the hell you've actually done in order to make the country better. So that's just some free advice.
Yeah, somebody's killing poor people, and it's going on. Yeah.
When COVID happened, poor people were dying at a rate already of 800 people a day. Before COVID, if you went to a funeral every single day, it would take you 600 years to attend all the funerals of the people who will die from the ravages of policy violence, poverty, and low wages in America in just 1 year. It would take you 2 years and 19 days to go to all of the funerals of the people that will die today, and oftentimes silence. Nobody talks about this political genocide, but we are determined today to remember their death and be a resurrection of voting power and voice power like never before.
Economic justice and saving this democracy are deeply connected. We, as a nation, must listen to the demands of the poor, who are pushing and will continue to push political candidates and elected leaders to lift from the bottom so that everybody can rise.
Take back the mic, take back the mic, take back the mic, take back the mic.
We are the poor, the marginalized, and the underpaid. And we are taking one step forward to say that everybody has a right to live.
Poverty is not the fault of those who are impoverished. It is caused by those who make the policy.
There are over 135 million poor and low-wage, low-income people in this nation.
The biggest block of potential voters by far is low-income, low-wage voters.
I can't afford medicine. Sometimes I have to skip because of the cost.
The farm worker community is tired of the violence imposed upon us by greed, exclusion, and denial of basic human rights.
Those folk that represented by that casket, poor and low-wage workers who are the most moral people in this country because they go to work every day believing, even though going to work is hazardous to their health.
I'm tired of working 70 to 80 hours a week and still not have money for the necessity of bills. I'm tired of getting sick and not being able to go see the doctor. Having to make a choice to pay between rent or the light bill or food or clothes.
You cannot claim to care about families and a culture of life and then do everything in your power to rob people of equal access to resources and to force them to live in poverty.
Leadership of both parties had waged war on poor people and low-wage workers.
And this government has treated people experiencing poverty, including their military families, with disdainful, deliberate, malicious neglect.
So the truth is that my son died from poverty.
We refuse to accept poverty as the fourth leading cause of death.
The fourth leading cause of death in this, the richest country in the world.
We march today for our children and the generations to come.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
We will voice our demands and register our vote.
When we stand up and when we stand together, things change.
There is the electorate that is, and then there is the electorate that should be.
34 million eligible poor and low-income voters did not vote in 2016. If just 20% of those voters in swing states were mobilized around an agenda, they could change the political outcome of every election. So we're launching the most massive voter mobilization and turnout campaign in history of poor and low-wage voters, allies, and religious leaders.
People are dying, but we know it doesn't have to be this way. And so we are calling on everyone to join us in this Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival.
We are here, we will be seen, we will be heard, and our power will be felt. We don't need to be an insurrection. We are a resurrection that will be felt across this country. Are you ready? Ready, ready, ready. We are a resurrection, and we are ready.